Magandang gabi. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles. Ito po ang Luminous. Nangako tayo na mag-live tayo ngayon kasi meron pong sagutan between itong si Madam at saka si Spox Harry Roque. That's Belial. Okay, maingay lang. Alright, magandang gabi sa lahat. Don't forget to like and share itong live po natin, both on YouTube at dito po rin tayo sa Facebook simultaneously broadcasting. Magandang gabi sa lahat na nanonood at nakikinig. Kung hindi pa po kayo nagpo-follow at saka like dun sa Luminous sa Facebook at saka kung hindi pa rin kayo nagsusubscribe sa YouTube, please go ahead and do so as soon as possible. So magandang gabi. Hi kay Ma'am Ying, kay Bangers, MGK Dolphin, Yanks Merez, Ernie Apita, magandang gabi. Nasaan na ba yung mga taga-YouTube natin? Bakit pila nahuhuli yung yung iba? Okay, magandang gabi. Ito yung circumstances. Okay? Si Madam nag-issue po ng statement. At sinasabi niya, well, 2 beses, no? Yung isa, claim niya na may massacre. Massacre daw yung simultaneous service of warrants na ginawa ng PNP dito sa Southern Tagalog. Unfortunately, during their operations, dahil iba-ibang lugar yon, may 2 namatay sa isang lugar, isa dun sa isa pa, tapos 6 in another location. Kahawig na kahawig niya yung mga pangyayari doon sa wala ba tayong YouTube? Right? Doon, kabahawig niya yung mga pangyayari doon naman sa Capiz. Diba? Ayun, meron ng YouTube. Hi kay Denesa Abelgas. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Alright. Let me just look for her statement, no? Para eksakto tayo. Sabi ni Madam Lenny, ang claim niya ay massacre yung nangyari dun sa Southern Tagalog. Robredo denounces Calabarzon massacre. So, dun sa statement niya, ang sabi ni Madam ay, there is no other way to describe it. It was a massacre. And it came just 2 days after the president himself ordered state forces to ignore human rights, kill communist rebels, and finish them off in his rant before the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. So, of course, dinenounce niya, sabi niya, sa panahon kung kailan patuloy na nadadagdagan ang bilang ng mga namamatay, nagugutom at naghihirap dahil sa pandemya, ito ang masakit na katotohanan. Patuloy ang pagpatay sa Pilipino. Maglilimang taon nang pinapatay ang mga mahihirap sa ngalan ng isang drug war. Okay. Ito yung problema kay Madam Lenny. Where is her data and is her data still significant now, considering? So, meron ba siyang pinanghahawakan para gumawa ng ganitong klaseng konklusyon? Nagsasalita siya bilang vice-presidente ng bansa and therefore carries some weight of authority. So, ano ngayon? Sabi ngayon ni Spock Sari Roque, patunayan mo may massacre or face a lawsuit. You can't get any more serious than that pagdating dito. Also, napansin natin, hindi ito nangyayari in isolation, ha? Nangyayari ito habang nasa kasagsagan tayo ng paglalaban dito sa communist terrorist groups. At nararamdaman na both ng AFP at natin dito sa publiko, nakikita po natin na it's within our grasp na matapos natin itong communist insurgency. After over 50 years na naghahasik sila ng lagim, ng violence, marami silang napatay, maraming mga lugar na hindi na nakaahon sa kahirapan dahil tuloy-tuloy ang security issues doon sa areas na mga yon. Ano ngayon ang pwede nating ikaso, anong maaaring ikaso kay Madam? Sa pagkikilatis natin ngayon, nakita natin na itong mga statements niya, in view of the fact, nakaka-announce rin lang ng DOJ na mag-iimbestiga dito sa kaso. Alam ni Madam na ang statements niya are not yet factual. Kumbaga, hindi pa na-establish kung anong nangyari dito. At alam niya bilang isang abogado na may daladalang presumption of regularity ang ating mga pulis. In other words, kailangan patunayan na yung pagka-serve nila ng mga warrants, search warrants na ito, dahil nagresulta sa kamatayan ay mayroong irregularity. Ang sinasabi ng pulis, I suppose, ang ano nila is nanlaban uli or nagkaroon ng resisting arrest to the point that they had to use violence to quell it, at yung violence na yun ay nagdulot ng kamatayan. Well, naghatid ng kamatayan doon nga sa mga pumalag, so to speak, na sineserva ng warrant of arrest. Sorry, search warrant. So incident itong search warrant na ito. Kumbaga, yung pagkamatay, yung pagre-resist nila ay insidente doon sa pag-serve ng search warrant. Normally, the story would go na kapag nag-serve ng search warrant, kung may mahahanap doon, pumapalag. Or nag-serve ng search warrant, may nahanap, nag-resist arrest. Yung pagka-resist nila ng arrest, gumagamit sila ng violence against the law enforcers. Justified po yung paggamit din ng violence to pacify or to quell it or to protect the public na maaaring maging masaktan sa gulo nangyayari. Now, ano ang maaaring ikaso sa kanya? Well, the closest that we can see, kasi nga, resulta ito ng mga sinasabi. What she's saying is not yet even appropriate, but that's also a kind word. Kasi in view of the fact na nag-iimbestiga pa, kaka-order pa lang ng investigasyon, wala pa tayong facts on this one. Unless meron siyang kinikim-kim na witness at alam niya yung witness na yun ay nagsasabi ng totoo, how she's going to test that, we don't know. Sabi ni Elmer Bernardino, sorry to disappoint you, but I'll have to correct you, hindi po abogado si FVP. Ay nako, kayo talaga. Seryoso pa ako nagbasa. Okay. The closest that I can see for the moment, barring any additional ones, is Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code. The penalty of arresto mayor and a fine ranging from tinaasan na to 40,000 to 60,000 pesos shall be imposed on any person who by means of printing, lithography, or any means of publication shall publish or cause to be published as news, false news which may endanger the public order or cause damage to the interest or credit of the state. Now, she may have caused the publication of her statement making that accusation. Ang isa pa, any person by means or by words, utterances, or speeches shall encourage disobedience to the law or to the constituted authorities to praise, justify, or extol any act punished by law. Okay? Fortunately, dun sa speech na ito, hindi pa natin masyadong nakikita kung pinupuri man niya yung mga any criminals or any of the communist terrorist groups. But keep this provision in mind because they might apply to other people na nagsusuporta dun sa mga terrorist groups or sa mga insurgencies. So the closest I can see is that she is causing to be published as news or false news which may endanger the public order, cause damage to the interest or credit of the state. Or, di ba ang sinasabi niya, she could also be charged with inciting to sedition. Okay? Bakit? Kasi sinisiraan mo yung duly constituted authorities and trying to prevent them from doing their job, doing their duties, trying to prevent the execution of laws, and so on. So these are the probable crimes that can be filed against her. Tandaan nyo, hindi siya nakasuhan although she was accused. Well, may complaint against her dun sa Bicoy because she had been at the meeting supposedly dun sa Ateneo. Kulang po para sa probable cause, so hindi siya nasama dun sa kaso. Ang nakasuhan po ay sina Trillanes, sina Father Alejo, and other people na nag-conspire para gawin yung mga videos na naninira sa presidente. Tinatawag ang presidente na drug dealer, drug lord, and so on. So in this case, sinasabi niya na ito ay yun nga, nagsasabi siya na minasakar daw ang mga inosenteng ito. And therefore, tapos sinasabi pa niya, this comes only days after the president ordered and so on. Was this an order? Is there a direct correlation dun sa sinabi ng Pangulo at yung ginawa ng PNP? No, there is no proof of that yet. Kailangan may testigo dun sa mga pulis na magsasabing, dahil sinabi ng presidente yon, ito ang ginawa namin. Okay? Tinitingnan ko na yung mga comments niyo. Dami na. Bakit LA siyang na say ng hindi ko naiintindihan ng sunugin ng mga communists. Wala siyang sinabi nung sunugin ng mga communists yung mga heavy equipment sa Mindanao. Wala nga siyang sinasabi dun sa pagka ang mga members ng AFP o PNP ang napapatay ng mga communist rebels or terrorists. Okay? Sabi ni Utay Tubadesa, way back late 60s nang napatay ng NPA ang tiyuhin ko sa harapan ng magulang niya. Hindi na nagkaroon pa sila ng lakas ng loob para mabuhay hanggang sa panawan din sila ng buhay. Kalunos-lunos. So yes, kailangan tandaan po natin na mayroong mga ganitong ginagawa ang communist terrorist groups. That's why na-designate po sila as communist terrorist groups dahil sa ginagawa nila. Natanong ni Pepa Corriente, kung wala bang immunity ang vice-presidente, maliwanag lang po ang ating saligang batas dun sa immunity ng presidente. Wala pong sinasabi tungkol sa vice president. And therefore, unless it is stated clearly na meron siyang immunity, hindi po yan ini-interpret as having any. Okay. Sabi ni Jennifer Aquino, she supports communists, plain and simple. Basta to discredit the government, pati patay gagamitin niya. Sabi ni Egay Bautista Ribamontan, no, only the president has immunity from suit. Martin Eigenman says, pwede ba siya ma-impeach on this one? Yes, pero gahol sa oras kasi by next year hindi na pwede. So, at saka pagka less than a year, which is close na to the next elections, hindi na po mag-entertain ng impeachment complaint ang Kongreso. Yung massacre sa Inupacan, Leyte na ginawa, may sinabi ba si Robredo? Sabi ni Junior Manuel Asol. Well, of course, that was in the 80s. Sabi ni Chev, no comment din si Madam habang nire-retrieve ng AFP ang mga labi ng mga estudyante na nirecruit at namatay o pinatay bilang NPA soldiers. Magandang gabi kay Ma'am Feli Magtibay. Joel Reyes, nalampasan ako ng comment mo. Sandali Volts Latore, matapang talaga, alam niya na hindi siya pwedeng makasuhan dahil immunity siya. Remember, presidente siya ng Twitter Republic. Grabe kayo. Sabi ni Mike Sarate, hindi, no relation, hindi ako attorney para malinaw na pwedeng kasuhan si Lenny dahil sa statement niya. Okay. Ano ba question sa bar? Sabi ni Joel Reyes. True or false ba? Ba't naging abogado yan? Kayo naman, hindi na po dapat natin tinatanong yung mga abogado ba yan? Ba't naging abogado yan? And so on. Abogado siya. Hindi naman lahat ng abogado tahasan ng talino, di ba? Although, majority, probably with the exception of me, ay yun talagang magagaling. Hindi kayo papasa dun sa entrance pa lang dun sa mga schools, baka hindi na Pero, it's how, kumbaga, you're only as good as the last case that you won or the last issue that you dealt with and so on. Sabi ni Ariel Bulungaya, attorney si VP ay nagre-rebelde against the government, nakakatakot dahil kung ano-anong sinasabi niya walang basehan. Correct. Kung ito ay nakakaapekto sa ating national interest, then it is definite that the government can call her out. Sabi ni Chev, as per Madam's latest alternative truth, Duterte admin is not serious about curbing drugs and corruption. Saan ba siya nakatira? Sabi ni Rain Pinebook, ikaw nga, butane brains ka. Si Madam, wala pa naman po tayong barya. Sabi ni Oriel Villanueva, mukhang inayos lang ng tatay niya. Uy, kayo talaga. Walang ganun. Kabornay Sarah says, hindi lahat ng abogado. Grabe, ang bilis ng comments. Bilis, sandali, nawala. sabi ni Alvi Bal, mas masahol ba itong ginawa niya compared sa UN report noon? I think halos pareho lang. Pero yung sa UN report kasi, well, it was to an international audience. Laking kasiraan. Di ba? Margarita Arevalo Zulueta says, taga-Mars si Madam. Feli Magtibay says, panahon na talaga kasuhan yan. FVV na yan, sobra na kasi pinapahiya niya ang Pilipinas sa mga pinaggagawa niya. Yes, first of all, your loyalty is to your country. But as a government official, di ba, kung hindi ka nag-agree, there are means of disagreeing. Ito yung tanong, kinausap na ba yung Pangulo or about it? Or did she send a letter? Did she send a statement? Natatandaan niyo po ba nung si Doy Laurel, Vice President siya, Vice Presidente siya ni Cory, when he disagreed at nabahala na siya sa dami ng korupsyon dun sa administrasyon ni Madam Cory, sumulat siya. In other words, it wasn't something that he announced to the public na, Madam, ito, let's do this. Mag-resign tayo pareho to show to show na hindi natin tinitiis itong mga corruption dito. Hindi niya kaagad pinahiya si Presidente Cory, sumulat muna siya. Nung hindi siya ininda ni Madam Cory, that's the only time he made his intentions stated in the letter public. Sabi ni Agent Peck News, di ko magets kung gobyerno ba talaga si VP, mas divisive nga ang rhetoric niya, saint versus evil na naman, is she really to solve problems or pamumulitika lang? Okay, pero ganito yon, no? Yung pamumulitika niya, we can't stop her. Kasi marami dyan, meron siyang freedom of speech, so she can say these things. Ito yung tanong, does it go against the national interest? And in relation to the revised penal code, ito ba ay nakakasira? Diba? Did she cause her statements to be published? At yung statement na yon ay can be taken as false news that endangers the public order or causes damage to the interest or credit of the state? Maybe. We will see what the evidence there is. Another, inciting to sedition. Doon sa batas sa inciting to sedition, scurrilous libels. Yung matinding paninira doon sa isang opisyales to the point na hindi niya magagawa yung kanyang trabaho o sinisiraan mo para hindi niya magawa yung trabaho niya, then that is a form of inciting to sedition. So, meron din pong mga ganon. So, in times na ganito, kung nababahala siya, I would like to think, good faith muna, na she has good intentions. Talagang she cares about the rights of the people who are killed or harmed in the fight against terrorism, in the fight against illegal drugs. There are people who do fall into the cracks. Hindi naman natin sinasabi na absolute ang tiwala natin na walang ginagawang mali ang PNP. They're human and so we trust na oo, nagkakamali din itong mga to. But is this the way to correct it? Yung nagdadaldal ka lang in front of the media and you're not actually filing any cases. And worse, sasalita ka before any factual findings have been made. Diba? So yun yung medyo, questionable. Thank you kay Ria Moore David at saka kay Ruel Costello. Maraming salamat po sa inyo sa super chat. Lori Cura Cabral says, si Vice Doy Laurel po ay may delikadesa at tunay na taglay ang talino while FVP ay isang tunay na madam. Isang malaking question mark kung bakit pumasa ng bar. Kayo naman, sino ba nababagabag na ang bayan sa kabubuhan ni madam? Okay, sabi ni Martin Eigenman. Julius Hilario says, yung statement ba ni VP na direktang pinagtatanggol o kumakampi sa CPP-NPA, pwede ba siyang hindi ko nakita yung last part, ang bilis eh. Isa pa, sabi pa ni Jomar Maniala, probably Lenny is on a demolition job kasi hindi siya ang pambato ng dilaw. Sa 2022, mag-gobernador na lang ayon sa mga bias interview niya. Okay? Ian Pedro says, hindi mo kasi alam kung saan kalulugar kay Madam. Yun ay akin lang naman. Very good. Very well said. Attorney, tinawag pa nga niyang murderous regime. That is correct. So ano yan? Scurrilous libel yan. Matinding paninira. Okay? So, ngayon, the other thing we also have to take into consideration, well, though I would like to remind her and the people who probably surround her, na nasa kasagsagan tayo, we are on the cusp of defeating or at least breaking the back of the communist terrorist groups. Okay? Matagal nang tinik sa tabi natin, sa tagiliran natin itong mga ito. Maraming magulang ang nangulila sa mga anak, whether yung mga anak nila ay sumali sa communist terrorist groups o pinatay ng mga ito. Whether nandun sa side ng military o police o nandun mismo sa side ng mga NPA, maraming magulang ang pinaiyak, mga asawa, mga anak, na lahat ng mga pamilya na nangungulila dahil nawala yung mga miyembro ng pamilya nila. Yung iba, wala nang closure kasi hindi nila alam kung saan nakalibing ang family members nila. Masyado nang mahaba. Tama na. Oras nang tapusin itong communist insurgency. At nandiyan na malapit na tayo. Isipin mo, less than 2,000 na lang ang combatants nila. Desperado na sila. Kaya kung ano-ano na lang ang sasabihin. At kapag ganito yung mga sinasabi ni Madam, she is holding us back. 'Di ba? Ano yung rule? If you are part of government, then by all means be in favor of government, support it. You can still support even if you're critical, pero yung pagiging critical mo, the least you can do is be fair in your criticism. You are the vice president or you claim to be. Sorry, couldn't help it. You are the ostensible vice president. Di pa naman final yung decision ng Supreme Court. You're the ostensible vice president of the country, and you are trying to say that there is a policy to murder our own citizens without any evidence. Paninira lang yan. Di ba? Ngayon pa niya sasabihin, iniimbestigahan pa lang yung service of search warrants na yon. Yung dito din, meron din po siyang statement tungkol dito sa pagpaslang kay Mayor Ronaldo Aquino ng Calbayog, Samar. Ang sinasabi niya is, kumbaga, ayan na naman, pulis na naman. Yung epekto ng sinasabi niya is mawalan ng tiwala tayo dun sa law enforcers at laying the blame on the president. Again, another scurrilous libel against the president. Madam, yung mga ganyan, hindi sinasabi. Pinatutunayan yan. And if you truly believe in this, nasa na ang kaso nyo? File, go away, file. By all means, I am sure the president and his men can defend themselves. Ang tanong, do you have any evidence of what you are saying? Diba? Your position, you occupy a high position in government and therefore much is expected of you. Kung namumulitika ka lang, madam, then you are a huge disappointment to be saying things like that could possibly constitute a crime for the simple expediency of getting elected into office again. Parang hindi yata Hindi yan not gonna fly. Sabi ni Ace Morel na nanawagan pa ang mga kasamahan niya. Na ang kasamahan na gobyerno daw ang magbaba ng armas. Okay, si Congresswoman 'yon, no? Ang sinasabi niya, dapat daw ang magbaba ng armas ay yung PNP at saka yung AFP. Kalokohan. Micah says, please notice me, nasa Davao daw siya. Ayun. Wala siyang ebidensya para si De Lima, walang ebidensya para mapatunayan niyang inosente siya, sabi ni Romeo Gonzalez. That is true. Grabe. Sabi ni Martin Eigenman, na wala ko yung statement mo. Ayun. Actually, your statement is not to catch the Filipinos' attention, but to make a bad picture in international media and international support. Pwede, panahon ng paghahanap ng international funding. Ay nako. Jonathan Castillo says, theory, they want the case to be filed para victim siya. Tapos i-assassin, "Oh, guys, don't talk about yung mga ganyan. That's not that yeah. Let's not talk about harming her even if in the hypothetical sense. We have to be better than they are. So, wag po tayo let's not stoop to that level. Sila yung ganon, hindi po tayo dapat ganyan. Ah, sabi ni Romeo India Gonzalez, shout out daw. Nasaan siya? Watching from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Ronald Darwan says, wag na kasi kayo mag-oppose o mang-bash, suporta na lang. Grabe yung sarcasm, ah. Sobra na yan. Chai Cabrera Raga says, let's not get lost in the frenzy. That statement was not put together by Lenny, but by the people around her. She couldn't possibly cook up such a... Akala ko dinidepensahan nyo, hindi pala. Grabe, sa atin, but very well said. Sabi ni Athena Granados, dapat siguro kasuhan ng mga NPA operatives at kanilang mga taga-suporta. Automatic po yan kasi they're committing a crime. Kung may ebidensya si Lenny, dapat mag-file na siya ng kaso. Kung wala, edi maghanda din sila nakakasuhan for cybercrimes. Pwede, pwede. Sam Salazar says, wala akong naririnig na batikos niya sa mga pinagagagawa ng CPP-NPA na panununog ng mga gamit ng mga negosyante at gobyerno. I agree. Lenny, ubod na kasaksakan pa 10 ng kanyang mga kasamahan. Belinda Oville says, bagay, naku nawala, sa inyo magsenadora. Ay hindi, okay na tayo dito, kayo talaga. Louie Molina is in Al-Kubar, KSA. Shout out kay Nursky MC. Ito, Dads P. Reyes says, pinatay ng Kapwa-Dilawan si lalaking Robredo para patakbuhin ni Pinoy ang si Madam. Pare-parehas talagang bulok. Audi says, basta i-flash sa inidoro ang lintik na lugaw na ito sa 2022. If she's brave enough to run. Okay. Tingnan natin yung ibang mga mga comments. Let's see. Balikan natin. Sa puso ko na lang tatakbo si Attorney Trixie. Sino yun? Teka, di ko nakita yung name. Shout out sa lahat ng religiously nakikinig kay Attorney Trixie. Oy, maraming salamat pala. Dami nanonood ngayon. So, ulitin po natin. Ano yung pwedeng ikaso? Pwede siyang false publications kasi she has a written statement and she published it on her Twitter account. Diba? At this is and by stating categorically massacre, that putting the blame directly on the doorstep of the president, scurrilous libel, inciting to sedition. So, I'm sure there are others na makikita ng DOJ. And para sa akin, mahalaga na imbestigahan din siya if there is a possible case that can be filed. Pero very clear si Spox Harry Roque dito. Madam, patunayan yung massacre yan, kundi kakasuhan kayo. Sonny Doloroso says, napansin nyo ba? Ay, naging palalo ang FVP na yan after manalo, di umano siya sa PET. Delusional, watching from Kyoto, Japan. Oo nga eh. Murderous regime daw, sabi ni Brian Echeverria. Ang kapal ng mukha ng Ale, parang ako yung nahihiya. Abogada pa naman. Sabi ni Jerry Arguelles, takba kayo sa senador sa lineup ni PRRD. I don't think he thinks I exist. Wag naman po ganyan. Alam nyo, we can do a lot of good without having to run for public office. Hindi natin pa kayo mga ganyan. Marami pong magagaling at saka kayang tumakbo. Sila na lang po. Who can file a case against her? Well, of course, the SOJ can cause an investigation by the NBI or the PNP can investigate as well. And anybody who has knowledge of that publication can file a complaint. No, ito yung ginawa niya. Sabi ni Calium Azogral, i-activate na naman ni FVP ang victim card niya. Yun nga yung nakakainis dyan, lalakas ng loob, katapang ng mga statement, tapos mamaya, kinakawawa ako. They're trying to silence me. Chuchu, Diyos ko. Sabi ni Gian, mag-speech si Digong anytime. Tapos, lagot ka ngayon, Medem. Ay, totoo yan. Nakakaloka si Madam. The other point we're trying to make here is that she should set an example. Siya dyan yung panayang batiko sa presidente for his inappropriate speech. Masyado namang ganon. Yeah, ano yung sinabi niya last time? Naku, kung ano-ano na naman batiko saying na hindi dapat ganyan ng public officials and so on. Binabatikos din niya yung ibang mga opisyales saying na hindi yan bagay. Tapos si Madam pa mismo magsasalita, which reeks of hypocrisy. Kasuhan ng illegal position of brainless. Sabi niya, may key daw siyang i-criticize ang gobyerno. Sabi ni Theodore Ginocchi, pambansang Karen talaga. Alam ni Madam, na there is a difference between criticism and scurrilous libels. Okay, iba po yun. Voltaire Avila, says, di kaya orchestrated lang ng opposition ang killings. Wow, medyo mabigat yan, ha? Perla Baba says, ang bilis na. Ang bilis kasi sa Facebook, ang hirap basahin. Kasuhan na ang gatongerang yan, sinasabi ng iba. Well, the fact that Spock's Harry Roque actually mentioned it, he knows his criminal laws, and so what he's saying is that she should take this opportunity to substantiate her claims. After all, kung gusto niya ng publicity o propaganda ito, nothing speaks louder than evidence. So, kumbaga, this is a dare. Substantiate that or face the consequences. And mabigat ang consequences dito. Biggest mistake, yung sa pet daw. Grabe ang bilis ng comments. Dami. Let me see if I can check out the earlier ones. Yana the Mongrel says, good evening. Di ba may kaso ng pagiging chismosa? Kailan ba makakasuhan si Manay Lenny? At ang dami na niyang kasalanan sa bansa. Well, yes, that's But, ano ba ito? Kung intriguing against honor yan, that might just be a civil case. Checks and Line says, I'd rather celebrate AFP's successful operations against terrorists than listen to FVP's baseless accusations. Malapit ng bye-bye ang CPP-NPA. Okay. Bernalisa says, 8:30, alive and kicking ang supporters nyo tonight. Yes, because naman kasi si Madam, di ba? How can you not react to this? Of course, I'm pretty sure that she wants people to react to this. Pero dati kasi, nag-a-apply yung good or bad, it's still publicity. But when you're running for an election, do you think that people who hate you are going to vote for you? Do you think that people who disagree vehemently against the unpopular positions that you have taken, and I don't mean position in a bad sense, the unpopular positions that she has taken, are going to vote for her? Ano ba? So, George Paz says, pa-shoutout naman kasi 4 times nang na-cancelled flight namin to New Zealand or Australia from stranded senior citizen in Quezon Province. I'm so sorry, hindi kayo makaalis. Michael Haganos, please don't flood the comment section. I have no opinion yet kasi hindi ko pa po naaaral. Remember, I will only make a statement or give an opinion kapag alam ko na yung buong issue. It's not fair to issue an opinion kung hindi pa kumpleto yung facts natin. Or at least we have something to base our opinion on. Hindi tayo katulad ng ibang mga government officials dyan, hindi pa alam yung buong kwento kung ano-ano na yung hinihirit. Marilyn Mariano says, nakakaumay na siya. Oo. Yikes. Okay. Diyos ko, kabilis. Ating Lenny, manda ka, sabi ni Zenaida Walton. Chart Cheng says the Dilawans seem to like doing it on purpose and maybe get her arrested to be pitied from the international scene. Yes, but it's very difficult to run for office from a jail cell. Natalo nga si Ninoy when he tried to do that. Um, Sabi ni Yvonne Yap de Ocampo Amarante, ay, yun. Si Lenny ang balakubak ng Pilipinas pag kinakamo, ay grabe kayo. Huwag naman po masyadong personal yung mga hirit. Pag nakikinig ka kay Madam, parang gusto mo na lang mag-baby talk. Sabi ni Harry Reyes. Oh. Hindi alam ni Lenny kung ano ang freedom of speech. Sabi ni Ma'am, Sarah Mercado? Tama ba yan? Oh, si Ma'am Sarah Mercado. Kinakawawa na masyado ni Barry Gutierrez ang, nasa na yan? Well, I assume that he's talking about his principal, the principal of Attorney Barry. Share natin ito, sabi ni Tess Kinilitan Olmedilla, para maraming makunog. Oo, baka umabot sa kanya, himatayin na naman. Ay, himatayin. Nako guys, huwag kayong maghihikayat ng debate between myself and Madam Lenny. It wouldn't be fair. Kasi Vice President siya. Datu Vader says, good evening. Manchi Rose says, hello, napanood ko live ng mga kabilang grupo, nakakatawa. Lalo na si Maria Reza. Oo, napanood ko din yon. And that's something very interesting to talk about. Nagtataka sila, di ba? Ano bang gagawin nila? Is it the language? Maybe we should try the lifestyle sites para marami kasing nagpupunta doon. Very popular yung mga sites na yun. Alam mo kung ano-ano ang iniisip na nila to get their message across. Para, di ba, sobra naman yon na kumbaga, they're not, all they're thinking is about is technique. Kumbaga na, anong kailangan natin gawin para marinig tayo? Para, ang sinasabi pa ni isa, si Bart Gincona, what he was saying was that, maraming galit. Marami daw siyang nakakausap na galit. Na dapat tapusin na natin to. Buong-buo yung confidence nila sa sarili nila. Pero the surveys are all consistent. Even on social media, the opinions are all consistent. Ito rin, alam niya yung inaani na nila, yung ilan, 20 na taon ng pagpapabaya ng mga sinusuportahan nila. So, I think yun ang hindi nila tinitignan eh. Hindi man lang nila niisip na it isn't how you say it. Maraming ang vloggers and so-called social media influencers, maraming typos, hindi diretso English, pero sinasang-ayunan nila yung opinion. And in fact, ako nga hindi ganong kapopular parati yung mga opinion kong hilig-hilig ko mambasa grip ng ibang tao in the interests of making factual statements or all of us to be modicum of fairness at saka to be factual as much as we can. And not everybody agrees with me and yet we will still outnumber them. Hindi sila convincing because they have taken a stand that is so contrary to the anger that we feel over their mismanagement of the country. Yun ang hindi nila magets. At hanggang ngayon, ganun pa rin yung state of mind, not top of mind, yung state of mind ni Madam. Iniisip niya na itong mga pakana nila for the last 30 years, ng mga sinasang-ayunan niyang partido, ay umuubra pa. Yung mga, it doesn't have to be true, it just has to look like it. Yun yung strategiya nila for 30 years. 'Di ba? Bakit? Ito nga, naku, EDSA ang pinagsasabi nila. Cory nga, wala sa EDSA eh. 'Di ba? And yet, yung nila, yung parang holy of holies na event nila is EDSA. Pero did they do anything after that? Parang, sige, one brief shining moment, meron silang EDSA and then what? Everything that they accused Marcos of doing, they are doing. What? Diba? Or they did. So, isa pa, What about the lack of sincerity and authenticity? And you know, napansin niyo kung paano sila magsalita? Pag nagsasalita sila, parang sila lang yung matalino. Parang, di ba, parang, bakit hindi nila tayo naiintindihan that they are wrong? Parang ganon. Madam, has it not occurred to you that you are wrong? Or at the very least, you have not brought us to the point where we can even remotely agree with you because you have been part of the system that has oppressed us for 30 years. Kami yung mga hampas lupa, pinananagutan namin yung mga kasalanan namin. But look at Noy Noy, free and clear, even if he's responsible for the deaths of what? 44 of our best police officers dying in a field in Mamasapa, no? May nanagot? Wala. Yung kaliwat kanan nilang nakawan during the Aquino administration, may nanagot? Wala pa rin. Yolanda, may nanagot of the horrible mismanagement that cost the lives of thousands, uncounted citizens who didn't even get a proper burial nor an acknowledgement that they are dead. May nanagot? Wala. 30 years na hindi sila nananagot and then suddenly, the one president who has been listening to us, gusto nila patanggal. Excuse me, I saw them do that to Erap. A president who was popular with the poor, they couldn't stand that. Erap had his faults, yes. Possibly he was even corrupt, but he was voted for by the people and they removed him. Diba? What about this president? Voted by a wide popularity, popular vote. Diba? And what do I want to do? Dahil hindi nila kabaro, they want him removed. Because he isn't them. Pag nakawan, okay lang. Pag sa kanila, walang nananagot. Pero pag yung mga, yung on the side of this president, on the side that is not their side, hindi. Yan, kayo, mga hampas lupa kayo, managot kayo. We see that. I work in the legal system and I've seen it. People who actually, there isn't even a question na makakasuhan sila. Why? Because they were in power and they were in power for so long. And what did they do? They enriched themselves. They entrenched themselves in the higher echelons of society and they left us all behind. Now the people that they left behind, gusto nila yung boto natin. Excuse me lang, no. And yes, we want to see Lenny sued. I'm sorry. But that's really how I think that this time she has gone too far. I'm the first person to say, na, come on, we act with, we tempered in our judgments and our opinions to make factual statements, even when stating our opinions, to base them on facts. Madam, you did not even bother to do that. Hindi pa nag-iimbestigasyon, and dito ako naiirita. You knew the SOJ announced an ongoing investigation, and yet you call it a massacre. Diba? Even if it proves to be that later on, wala ka sa lugar ngayon, kinukonekta nyo pa sa presidente. Am I angry at you because it's the president you're accusing? No, I am angry at you because you are inciting to sedition. And I don't want you to get away with it. If, ordinary, hello, etong si Bicoy, di ba? Nakakulong or he's out on bail. Pero hinaharap niya. Wala siyang choice. Ampas lupa siya eh. Haharap siya dyan sa inciting to sedition. Kayo, mga hampas lupa lang ang kakasuhan? Ganun ba yon? Ba, unfair. And that's what irritates me the most. Even with the most ardent followers, sinasabi natin parate, let's be fair. As much as possible, even pag nag-criticize tayo, even if it is people we hate, we have to be fair. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, yung connection between the CTGs and the so-called legal fronts, we have to prove this. We have to prove it with evidence that stands up in court. Otherwise, they could sue us for libel for calling them terrorists. That's why we don't want to do that. We act with temperance. We temper our actions. We base our actions and our accusations on factual things. And here she is coming along doing the exact opposite, setting a totally, brutally bad example of what inciting to sedition is. Ano ba? Diba? Sorry for the rant. It's for me, diba, we always strive, we ask each other to strive for fairness. Even, di ba, kayo, you call me out when I make mistakes and we strive to correct them. Or, syempre, debatihan din tayo sa isa't isa. Pero, if you will notice, on Luminous, we do that. If we made the mistake, sasabihin ko talaga na, okay, corrected. Okay, sige, tignan natin. Okay, aralin ko. Even ito now, you ask me to make comments on things, I will tell you, wait, aaralin ko muna. Diba? And then she comes along and then makes this conclusion that it was a massacre. And now she's even connecting the death. Sumakalangit nawa and with condolences to his family, Mayor Aquino's death with the president. How in what universe were you able to harvest your evidence on this? Is this simply a political statement that you're making in aid of elections? If so, then that's low, even for your party. Man, di ba? So, I hope, since it was Fox Harry who mentioned na, prove that it's a massacre or face a lawsuit, please, Fox Harry, ituloy nyo yan. Kailangan magtanda and we need to start setting examples. Hindi ko mo ba't I know the president is patient with the opposition. He is patient with the people who oppose him because he believes in the democratic space. Of course, kung meron freedom of speech yung opposition, alangan naman ng presidente, hindi sasagot. So, sumasagot siya. Pero yung sabihin ninyo ng presidente nagpapatay, galingan mo. Galingan mo. 'Di ba? Pairita kayo, ha? Ngayon, what is that? 'Di ba? Gumagawa kayo ng conclusion without any evidence. Does that exonerate you from your scurrilous libels? Kaloka kayo. Mas maiintindihan ko pa if you said something like, the PNP probably forgot the PNP did not comply with the due process requirements, did not comply with the SOP. If she said something like, if this is a highly suspicious death, okay, well within your rights as even as an official, as a citizen of this republic, sure, go ahead, say that. That is perfectly acceptable. But to make a conclusion, to make an accusation like that of a sitting president, what happened to your sense of fairness? Diba? You can't tell us that you are fighting for justice when you yourself commit the same kind of injustice that you claim is being done against you. Oops, naging rant na. So ayan, daming nagsasabi, tuluyan na yung kaso. Yes, ako, I certainly hope, I don't want to pressure Spock Sari na magkaso without any evidence, but my goodness, it's there. It's staring us in the face. Diba? Sabi ni Teddy Son, magboba milk tea daw. I see what you did there. Sabi ni Roel Costello, pasensya na po, high blood ako kay Madam. I really don't want to call her names, sa totoo lang. Hindi natin style yan. I think that in certain, her actions or inactions, her thinking or lack thereof, they all speak for themselves. I don't really think that we need to stoop to name calling here. Diba? Sila kung ano-ano pinagsasabi nila sa akin, do I answer them back? No, of course not. I recognize that and you can ask some of those that I have actually talked to. Kahit anong binatikos nila sa akin, fine, I'll take that. But you have to take it as well. Kami, sanay na sanay kami kung ano-anong pinagsasabi ninyo sa amin. Umiyak ba kami? Nagsumbong ba kami? Nag-ano ba kami? Did we even threaten you back when we could very well have answered you? Not the same kind of libels that you do to us. No, because what are important here in what we're saying are the issues. Yeah? If you believe that there are extrajudicial methods being undertaken by state agents, by all means, you're free to make use of the legal system, file your case. Even if these were mere suspicions, then okay, sige. You can say, I suspect that this is so. That's perfectly accurate. You suspect that and that is fine. Nobody can stop you from thinking, even if you show that somebody seems to be doing that. Go ahead. Pero you cross the line. 'Di ba? Baka dapat mag-review ng ano ng revised penal code si Madam na there is some speech that is punishable. Tapos kung makaangal ka ng trolls, ay sus Mariusep, 'di ba? Ay, yung mga trolls. Bayaran. Parang, Madam, you don't need to pay anybody to criticize you. So many of us will do it for free. Holy cow. Marlon Alexander Luis Roses, ang sinabi na nga rin ni Secretary Guevara, paano masosolve yung sinasabing EJK? Eh, wala namang mag-witness. All they do is criticize and complain. That is true. As a matter of fact, si Madam, at the start, she made a big deal about saying na nag-provide siya ng mga abogado, supposedly dun sa mga biktima ng drug war. Tapos siya din, inamin niya, dun sa interview, that's the best that they can do. Eh, yung iba, ayaw daw mag-file ng kaso. Yung iba, wala daw mga witnesses and so on. Also, sige, Madam, you see something wrong with the legal system. You are in position. What have you been doing? Do you have party mates in Congress? Do you have friends in the Senate? Have you done anything to pass any new laws that will address the issues that you say are killing of our citizens? What are you doing? Nothing? No? Nada? Did you even try to file an impeachment case against the president? Nothing? No? Si Trillanes nga nag-threaten na pagbaba daw ni Pangulo, eh kakasuhan niya. He can try. Diba? Pero kayong mga nasa oposisyon, pikon na pikon kayo sa mga trolls. Tapos kung makatroll kayo, galing. Diba? Parang ano yan, the laws apply to only to you, to everybody else and not to you? Don't tell me to relax, guys. People of the Philippines, sabi ni Lynn Bautista versus Madam. What she's doing is distributing merienda donated from other parties. O, isa pa yan, malaking pagkukunwari. Para siyang si Madam Generous. Diba? I am so generous. I'm always giving to everybody. You know, look at me, I'm working, I'm giving to everybody. Madam, you're not working. Those donations came from somebody else by your own admission, and all you're doing is handing it out for the purposes of photo ops. Don't talk to me about being a hardworking person. Please. We already see right through you, and this is the problem. She talks and talks as though she has convinced somebody. But the fact is the numbers are clear. She has not convinced anybody, and as a matter of fact, has ended up irritating so many of us. Crap. If irritation were a disease, she's a carrier. Arthur Allen Rivarez Palang says, kaya talaga sasakyan ng media si Lenny, alam nilang kumikita sa mga basurang statements. Sabi ni Lian, pinanood daw niya yung interview ko kay Sir Aljun. Wala daw sound. But naririnig naman ako ni Aljun. Kanina sa Birada. Lisa Mar says, nakakalabas ang anger ko kay Lenny at sa mga opposition just by listening to you now. Does that mean na ginagalit ko kayo? I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you angry. Because it just irritates and I am terribly sorry for dumping this on you. Medyo na carried away lang. But I really believe that she has not been circumspect as a public official. That have been circumspect enough in her statements. Kung makahirit siya na unstatesmanlike ang presidente, abay madam, you're just using longer words than he is, but you're saying essentially the same thing. Diba? Sabi ni Arthur, naiirita rin siya. Gratis ang falling from us, sabi ni Jackstone. So easy, piece of cake. She provides the reason open-handedly without even knowing it. Totoo yun. Ay nako, kaya nga eh. So, these accusations of being paid trolls, they don't stand up, madam. It's our pleasure to criticize you. You give us so much material for doing that. Diba? Man! Seriously, hanggang ngayon pa ba nag-i-illusion kayo na binabayaran kami to criticize you? Hell, we do it for free. If there wasn't Facebook, I'd pay for a forum to be able to criticize you. Breaking IBP also yakking about Calabarzon activists arrest. Well, the IBP is in a position to defend these activists. Put your money where your mouth is. The IBP has a free legal aid division. So, walang bisa yung mga statements ninyo. Put your money where your mouth is, defend them. Go. The courts will welcome the IBP's participation as defense counsels here. By all means. Uh, okay na, attorney, may sound na ang phone ko, may problema. Sabi ni Lian. Okay, I'm so glad kasi I was feeling guilty again. Um, Sabi ni Peng, you're just expressing how we feel elaborately and articulately. I didn't mean to be elaborate. Sabi ni Edwin ko, I don't know, pero I think hindi talaga niya alam ang function niya as VP. She was in the illusion as if she's head of state. Totoo yan. I know people need validation for some people, but for some reason, pero she's sick of it. Well, actually, it's like she's. I assume that you're saying that it's like it's a disease. It's like an illness. It's like a mental aberration. Oh, please. To have a mental aberration, there has to be some brain activity. I apologize. Again, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. No, actually, I'm sorry. I meant that. I actually meant that. Uh, Sabi ni Chris mo, watching from the HTO hotel. Ito, Maria Lakindanum says, like telling people that she loves to read books by showing all her books, and while in another interview, bilis na mga ano na. She said she doesn't have time to read. Sometimes we need this catharsis, guys. I understand you completely when you're saying that you're already so angry, and that's why the freedom of speech is there. It's one of our most prized rights. It's because it provides a safety, a pressure valve for when society feels so much pressures from things like the pandemic, economic downturns that we completely understand, peace and order, communist terrorist groups, diba? All of these form pressures on us, ordinary citizens. Those of us who face lawsuits because we have no protection of social status. Those of us who feel put upon because of all the economic pressures, nahirapan tayo maghanap buhay, nahirapan tayo mag-travel. We worry about things like medical costs every day, and then you have this person yakking away, wasting our time, diba? Wasting precious oxygen on things that not only unbelievable, but cross the line, not just of propriety, but of legality. Yeah. And I don't want to see her get away with this. Pag hampas lupa ka, makakasuhan ka. Pag madam ka, hindi. Oh, please. Feeling mataas IQ, sabi ni Ryan Villegas. K227 says, sana maubos na nga ang ano. Well, the president didn't say exactly. It's Secretary Esperon who said shoot to kill. But what the president says was during an encounter, and I'd like to clarify that. That's why you can tell that the president is always thinking. Okay? The president is thinking because he said during an encounter. And what is during an encounter? It means nagkakabarilan na. So what he's saying is that don't hold back. When you are exchanging gunfire with the enemy, do not hold back. We can finish this off. Okay? Pero no, the vice president of all people is making the leap from the statement of the president that essentially means don't hold back kasi nagbabarilan na kayo, and then connects it with the death of people in a under completely different circumstances. What is going on, madam? The other thing is, if the police misinterpret the statement of the president, that's not the president's fault. Okay? It's not, you cannot charge him as a co-conspirator here, or principal by direct inducement in a case against these police officers. You know that that is quite close to impossible. I'm sure you're going to try anyway. But what is important kasi dito para kay Madam is the rhetoric, the being able to say it, to make points. Yeesh. And that's what. That's really low. Mamumuliti ka by libeling another person. Sabi ni Baby Kangaroo, lakas maka-genius ang pa-LS mo. Ano yung LS? Ah, gusto daw niya yung topic na to. Pakisabi, ano yung LS? Na-curious tuloy ako. Ah, walang makapasok na troll sa live ni Attorney. Saya sana kayo mga animal. Sabi ni Ma'am Tess, I don't know why the Supreme Court sided with Yonen when all evidence of cheating is there. Sabi ni Matt Caps, let me explain. There actually was no opportunity to present the evidence in the court because of the way the handling justices, the ponencias, framed not the issues, but for instance, in the first issue of the BBM case, the first cause of action was Smartmatic. They were putting Smartmatic on trial, and the BBM side had the opportunity to present all of these. In fact, they attached it in their petition. But we also saw that evidence in the Senate and House hearings, diba? So we know what they were going to present. But the handling ponensya, the ponensya at the time was Justice Kagiwa, and he skipped that first cause of action altogether, saying for the purposes of judicial economy, we will decide in another issue, we will go to the other issues, the other causes of action, so we don't have to decide that anymore. Kasi the part of that topic will also be considered, particularly in the one that is the recount, in the cause of action involving the recount. So they could have put Smartmatic on trial there also, the electoral system on trial there also. But what happened instead is that, from what I understand, is that they are dismissing the second cause of action as well. No, yeah, the second cause of action as well, for lack of evidence. And lack of evidence because there's no opportunity to present it. So, that's what happened there. LS. Ano yung LS? Lenny isn't sane. Sabi ni Driver. Uy, grabe kayo. Live stream. May nakita akong Lenny Sugar. Sabi ni Yanks Meres, LS means live stream. Okay, sorry po. I should have known better. Pero ang dami na ninyong mga interpretations. I am seeing all of them. Ha? Guys, don't think that I'm not seeing all of them. But I'm worried that if I say it out loud, if I say it out loud, it's too funny. Okay. Hmm. Ano yung kufra, yung starlight na hinihingi ni Joaquin Prades? Sa hinahanap ka ni Tunying kanina. I was waiting for him to call. I didn't get a call. All right. LS, Lenny Spaghetti, Ludaw Spaghetti, Lugaw at Spaghetti. Grabe kayo, ha? Bakit? I think Lenny's statement is not crafted by her, but by people pulling the strings. Diba at one point, she hinted that she had no choice when she said, if I had a choice on running for public office. Wow. That's like an admission of puppetry. But No, but I think what she's saying is that she had no choice. The country called for her. Ayan, lakas makaleni. Sa Mobile Legends, game po yung Cupra Starlight. Okay. I have no idea what they were talking about. Margarita Ina Rodriguez says, di na maipagkakaila na bayaran niya lahat ng naglalagay ng headline sa kanya kahit lahat puro stupidity ang pinagsasabi. Okay. Okay. But again, even if she doesn't deserve it, it speaks better of us. I understand the name calling, okay? Like I said, the freedom of speech acts as a pressure valve. It releases pressure kasi nakakapagsalita tayo, nakaka-express tayo ng sarili natin. And uh, expression goes a long way in helping us manage our own feelings. That's Lenny, yes, Lenny. Unless is Lenny, shut up. Guys, you're too funny, okay? Okay, okay. Buti hindi ako umiinom ng kape, otherwise sayang na nabuga na yon. So, ito yung remember this, that's why we don't also want other people to be deprived of the freedom of speech. It's important that we're able to express ourselves, otherwise we might end up, uh, doing so much worse to each other. Let's speak. I speak because this helps us control our situation and speak. If you have information to give, this is also important. Let us keep speaking to each other because that's also a way for us to hang together, and it is important for us to hang together because we're going to be facing elections nitong 2022. Mag-election sa 2022, we need to stick together. And my worry is that so many people of the same party might be running against each other, and that's seriously going to compromise our unity. But I think that we can come to some kind of consensus. Let's keep talking to each other, but to talk to each other in the way that we can still accept each other's differences of opinions. Very maliliit lang naman ang differences eh. Hindi siya ganun magiging kasiraan natin sa isa't isa. Mahalaga tayo, lahat tayong sumusuporta sa administrasyon. Huwag nating kakalimutan, nagagamitin natin itong karapatan natin magsalita. Hindi lang pag-express o pag-criticize natin doon sa kabilang panig, kung hindi sa pagbubuo ng natin bilang mga supporters ng ating pangulo at nitong administrasyon na ito. At ituloy-tuloy na po natin ito para dun sa susunod, magbigay din natin yung suporta pag tama ang ginagawa ng administrasyon, pag tama ang ginagawa ng gobyerno. Nire-reserva pa naman natin yung karapatan natin na mag-criticize contrary to what the other side says, di ba? Lahat naman tayo frustrated dun sa ibang mga miyembro ng gabinete. Diba? Kahit naman yata ang Pangulo na-frustrate siya, but there are some instances where it might not be productive anymore para magtanggal siya ng ibang mga tao unless yung talagang tahasan, harap-harapan na natin nakikitang nagnanakawan. But let's use this. Don't forget it. Don't forget na ito, na-achieve natin the kind of unity that got President Duterte elected into office. Huwag po nating kakalimutan yan. May mga kasamahan din tayo na posibleng mag-init ang ulo, posibleng mag-hardline stance in favor of this candidate or that candidate. We can keep those differences. Pero pagkatapos ng eleksyon, let's go back to hanging together. 'Di ba? Huwag nating kakalimutan yan. Okay, humihingi ng balita si Arnold Adriano kung ano ang sa red tagging, ano po yung mga remarks. Ang remarks from the Senate inquiry. Naku, nag-live po tayo tungkol dyan. So dalawang major findings dyan. Number one, Senator Lacson, the author of the Senate report says, hindi po kailangan ng batas against red tagging. Dahil maaari naman magkaso yung mga supposed victims, kung feeling victimized ka ng red tagging, edi mag-file ka, ang dami-daming posibleng i-file. Humingi ka ng writ of amparo, writ of habeas data, ipakulong mo yung mga threaten sa iyo, filean nyo ng mga kaso, file kayo ng damages kung nila-libel kayo, and so on. So there's no need for a law on red tagging. On the other hand, they asked General Parlade to be circumspect in what he says para hindi na may mix up yung personal opinion niya with the opinion of the NTF-ELCAC, with statements emanating from the NTF-ELCAC. Yun lang po. There is no recommendation that General Parlade be even asked to shut up, just to be circumspect. Wala rin namang criticism kay General Parlade. And in fact, part of the Senate report even acknowledges na kung nagpropaganda yung kabila, iba sino nagsasabing hindi pwede ang gobyerno. Diba? So, yun po. Yun yung, in a nutshell, that's the short version. James Bong says, sino po ang lamang sa argumento sa Supreme Court about ATL? Hindi po kasi ganun eh. Ang oral argument, kasi nga, like I said, is the opportunity para sa ating mga mahistrado na i-clarify yung mga issues na hindi pa maliwanag sa kanila base doon sa petisyon na i-file ng mga petitioners. Sa susunod na oral argument, si Soljen naman po ang pagtatanungan nila para i-clarify yung stand ng Estado dito, ng gobyerno dito. So, hindi po natin makikita kung sino ang lamang dyan. Sa dinami-dami ng mga oral arguments, it's not always indicative of who is going to win. It's not even indicative of what side the justices are taking. So halimbawa, kung si Justice Leonen, wow, bilib na bilib tayo, ang galing-galing niya. And totoo naman, ang galing-galing niya. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the side he's going to take when he writes his opinion later on. So we cannot say, hindi, it's not something that we can make bets on. Kaya we never bet on the outcome of a court case. I mean, there's some things that are fairly clear from the start. Pero to make a guess on this one, I'm not going to. What I can say is that my own reading of the anti-terrorism law makes it clear that it is constitutional. Let us see kung ang Korte Suprema, ganun din po ang tingin ng mayorya. Philosopher once said, kung ang tatay mo ay mangingisda, bakit ka involved sa pangingisda, Lenny? Sabi ni Mumar Villasa. Oh my gosh, everybody's a comedian. Regina Buenaventura says, isa pa yung red tagging na yan. Kasi mga komunista sila talaga, kaya ganyan sila. Joey Mancilia says, sana hindi na nakarating dito sa UK ang bagong virus na Lenny-titis. Good morning. Pa-shoutout po sa mga members ng Quiz Pajak ng Real North Wales. Uy, meron palang Quiz Pajak. Okay. Vic Strauss is watching from Abu Dhabi. Yuri's React says, di ba nagsalita na si BBM? I was talking to Chef. Okay. Harry Reyes says, liberal starlet. Ang dami. Di pa ba nararamdaman ni FVP na dumidistansya ng mga kapwa-LP niya? Ang hindi pa yata nahahalata or maybe nakahalata si Madam is hindi necessarily yung mga kapartido niya ay kakampi niya. Pati sa TikTok, nilamon na din ng mga Dilawan supporters. Ha ha ha, umay, sabi ni AJ. If you will give a slogan for possible Sara Duterte's presidency, what would it be? Nako, hindi ko po talaga naiisip. I can't think of one right now. Pero kasi ayoko yung mga gasgas na. But let's find something. I can't say right now. Tsaka jahe kay Madam Sara. Di ba? Parang, sino ba ako para gumawa ng slogan? Yeah, pero, yung kung para sa atin lang. Sige, mag-ano tayo. Well, let's make a space on the wall sa Luminous dito sa Facebook at gawan natin ng parang slogan contest. Not for, it's not official, pero yung para sa atin lang. Jen Aquino says, the LP is not loyal to this country. Tandaan niyo yan, they're only loyal to themselves. Well said, ma'am. Well said, Madam Jen. Rico Bunagan says, babaeng Trillanes na si Lenny, tagasira na lang ng dilaw. I don't think the yellows can get destroyed any more than they already are. Tingin ko nga, wala nang bangunan from that one. They really have to reinvent themselves. Okay, the other thing is, kasi baka nasusobrahan na kayo sa presence ko. The other thing that we also have to remember is that everything she says is in aid of elections. Teka, babati lang ako. Alan Joel Anisieto sent a super sticker. Thank you. And of course, si Ruel Costello has also sent one. Maraming salamat. LS, Mike Del Rosario says, libelous statement. Sabi ni John Talosa, pag nanalo si Lenny, makikita niya ang totoong revolusyon. Yeah, even if it's revolution ng tiyan, I'm sure makikita niya yan one way or another. LP, sabi ni Alvibal, loyal sa pera. Alam niyo, ang gagaling ninyo, sobra. Kaya nananalo ang Duterte. Adrian Pangalangan says, natawa po ako dito ha, pwedeng totoo to. I think the VP knows, sabi ni Arsenio Ogwes, what her position is right now, but doing what she thinks, uh, but what she's doing makes me think something's fishy because the election is coming. A fool person can be seen uh, as foolish, but foolish like the FVP is still powerful. That's a good point. I do like that one. God is my refuge. Hi. Said a super sticker or super comment also. Kapag nagpa-print ka ng t-shirt para kay Mayor Sara, bahagian mo kami. Oh, sure. Sure, pag nagpa-print ako, no problem. Pero hindi ko alam kung can afford ako magpa-print ng t-shirts. Kung sakasakali face mask, keychain, yan, ganun. Mag-raise muna ako ng pera. Kitain muna natin. I took my break, sabi ni Ma'am Donna. Na lang talaga, nasa na si Ma'am Donna na wala. Just to listen to you. Naku, madam, don't compromise your job, ha? Magandang slogan yung tuloy ang pagbabago for Sarah's possible presidency, sabi ni Adrian. Yeah, yeah. But let's, catchy. Not that, you know what, sa totoo lang, I don't think Sarah needs any slogans. She just needs us. Ah, sabi ni Sunny Doloroso, dito pa lang makikita nyo na hindi talaga siya nanalong VP. Ang haba nung sinabi niya, but I understand what you're getting at. Mamon says, just get rid of the vice president position. What do you think, ma'am? Yes, but we need a constitutional change for that. Charter change yan po. Nasa saligang batas yan eh. So what we need is a president who's willing to undertake early charter change early in the next presidency. Don't do it towards the end kasi baka hindi matapos. You do it early. Right? Sabi ni Sinaida Natividad Walton, sa Facebook, paano magpadala ng pangkape at pizza? Wala po kasing mechanism dito po sa Facebook, sa totoo lang. Kasi nga tinathrottle po kasi kami ng Facebook. Kaya hindi po kami makapag-monetize dito. So talaga po sa YouTube. Kung wala po kayo dun sa jurisdiction ninyo, check out ninyo yung banner ng Facebook. Meron po dun click, na pwede kayong mag-click. Yung support. Slogan ni Sarah, sapakin kita, umayos ka. Grabe! Although, you know what? Salbahe kayo. I don't think Mayor Sarah would actually like that. Ako nakakapi na, sabi ni Ma'am Jen. Way to 30,000 watching. Uh, uh, sabi ni Edwin ko, okay yan. Sabi ni Edwin ko, as you said, I don't want to name drop kasi nga hindi natin yun gawain. Pero hindi ko alam kung tanga lang sila o Di na talaga matuto ang LP sa mga ginagawa nila. Akala nila dahil sa mga ginagawa nila, makakasecure sila ng upuan sa gobyerno. Ay nako, totoo yan. So, just to recap, kasi baka magsawa na kayo sa akin. Just to recap, anong mga pwedeng ikaso sa kanya? False publications under Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code or inciting to sedition. So inciting to sedition through the use of scurrilous libels. Doon naman sa false publications, when it affects the national interest, di ba? When it affects, ulitin po natin, when what she causes to be published as news, any false news which may endanger the public order or cause damage to the interest or the credit of the state. In this case, may cause damage to the interest of the state. Hindi pa po tapos or hindi pa nga nakakaumpisa ang investigasyon, gumawa na siya ng conclusion. Yung conclusion na yun ay nakakawalang tiwala at malaking paninira doon sa mga opisyalis ng PNP na nag-conduct ng service of search warrant na yon. Wala naman tayong issue kung talagang may pagkakamali or may mali siya, may puntirya talaga ang PNP dito. By all means, send them to trial, put them in jail if they did they committed crimes. Wala naman tayong issue sa mga ganon. Pero yung magko-conclude ka nang wala kang ebidensya para lang makapanira dito sa ating Pangulo at sa administrasyon in aid of your elections, then that one deserves a lot of opprobrium. Next, gamit tayo ng long words para mapilitan sila gumamit ng dictionary. Sabi ni G. Dumaging, sabi sa mga dilaw na TikToker na bagets, early campaign daw yung Run Sara Run, kaya hindi siya nag-fund. Yeah, nagsasabi nila. And that's a problem. If you're going to claim that a law has been violated, then you have to state what law that was, di ba? Hindi nila masabi. So, meron nga nakita ko yung ibang di ba? I posted it dun sa Luminous. Sabi nung isa, wow, electioneering yan. Of course not. There's a specific definition of electioneering and that's not what it is. Ang unang-una, wala pang campaign period. So, pre-campaign period, hindi pa nga nagde-declare, wala pa nga filing of candidacies eh. So, by all means, you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want. You can even claim that you're going to run. You can even give out your platform this early if you want to do that. It's not electioneering. There's nothing wrong with that. On the other hand, she didn't even raise funds for it. And in fact, very clear yung statements ni Mayor Sara na if somebody is raising funds in my name, hindi yan official, stop. Don't do it. Hindi yan akin. Ganda, di ba? She knows what she's doing. Mayor Sara is a pretty good lawyer. And I say pretty good is the understatement of the year on this one. So she knows what's what. Besides, si Mayor Sara ba ang nagpalagay ng mga yon? Itong mga bagets na to, remember, when you make an accusation, make sure that it is the person that you're accusing who's committing the crime. Second, you have to tell us what crime is being committed here and what provision of law has she violated, assuming that what you say is not coming out of your rear end instead of your mouth. What's doing the thinking here? Which part of your anatomy is doing the thinking? Sabi ni AJ Seconds, excited na ako sa 2022 elections. Okay. Now, the other thing that we have to remember is that in aid of elections, she's going to say a lot of things. And so Spock's Harry is correct in putting a stop to this or putting a damper on this. Parang kumbaga, ang ginagawa ni Spock's Harry dito, binubuhusan siya ng malamig na tubig. Madam, you're getting carried away here. Patunayan mo yung sinasabi mong massacre dyan or face a lawsuit. Don't forget. Right? She can face a lawsuit. Mamaya, pagka nakasuhan siya, asahan din natin, victim, ino-oppress nila ako. It's pretty much like what Senator Laila De Lima says. Ano ba naman if I help raise funds to the illegal trafficking of drugs? Ano ba naman yun? Ba't yung pagkukulong niyo sa akin? Victim ako. Yeah, right. Tapos, tax evasion is the oppression of freedom of speech. Does that remind you of anybody? It's election season and they're going too far. That's the message there. Tapos kanina, nag-press conference pa sila and they were all openly wondering, what is it that we have to do? What do we have to do so that we get the message across? Well, unang-una, send your own people to jail. Diba? Hanggang ngayon, di pa rin tayo naiintindihan ng oposisyon, which means hindi sila para sa taong bayan. Para sa kanila, pag nagsasalita sila, ang feeling nila, sila lang ang matatalino. At sila lang ang pwedeng mag-decide para sa atin. Kumbaga, kailangan tanggapin natin yung iniisip nila. If you notice, hindi nila tinatanggap yung iniisip natin. Kung bakit ganito tayo mag-isip, kung bakit hindi nila naiintindihan yung frustration natin. Hindi nila naiintindihan why it has come to this point where we can actually tell them, BS on all that you're saying. If you want to claim that you're a victim, fine, go ahead, file your case. Pero hindi na kami naniniwala sa inyo. By the way, thank you kay Ma'am Jackie at saka kay June T, both for the super stickers. Ma'am Jackie Tonhok. Okay, and then finally, diba, let's keep talking to each other. Let's keep let's not lose, I keep reminding everybody, don't forget to check if you're still following Luminous kasi minsan na-unfollow kayo. At saka, kami, tina-throttle kami, and yes, it's official that they're throttling us for an indefinite period. So, uh, if you're not yet subscribed to YouTube, the YouTube channel is our fallback. So please subscribe to YouTube. So if anything happens dito sa Facebook natin, then there's some place you will always see us. Okay. The other thing is that there will be attempts to silence us or to limit our ability to express ourselves. We don't ask the other side to do that. We don't ask any citizen to shut up or stop exercising their freedom of speech because the only way to cure their misinformation is to provide more information. Yung ginagawa nating tablahan sa social media, yung even the heckling, that's all part of the freedom of speech and a part of helping us stay together. We found an opportunity to be united against an old system that never really worked for us, of a group of people who think that they're smarter, know better, and think that they're the only people who are actually patriots in this country. PS and a half. Seriously. So let's keep talking to each other. Let's keep hanging together. We may not agree on the fine details of so many things, but in general, we agree with this administration. We still criticize it, but we keep the criticisms factual and ngayon, not overly emotional. We share information on understanding the system so that we can better participate in nation building. Let's not lose sight of the fact. And by all means, keep exercising our freedom of expression when we're heckling the opposition or pointing out the serious lapses in logic and judgment that they seem to think is a natural practice for them. Don't spread the don't spread the hate, spread the fact that we are hanging together and that we have hung together for 6 years, or at least going on 6 years. Sorry, it's 5 years pa lang. No? We have hung together for 5 years or almost 5 years, and Duterte is still president. I think this is what rankles on them. Dito sila iritang irita. And I would like to continue irritating them into the next administration. Thank you, everybody, for being such great participants. Not just here, ha? We're talking about participants in nation building. We're talking about being part of this country, full participation, full exercise of our citizenship. Uh, we know our rights. We know when there are certain government officials that deserve our criticism. And we also know those who deserve our fulsome praise. Diba? Uh, thank you. I want to say this early now. Thank you that it's para tayong isang malaking barkada na bayan, 'di ba? Parang naging gano'n eh, nagiging gano'n tayo. Especially in the early days of the Duterte administration. Do you remember this? Para tayong magbabarkada. We were feeding each other. We were cleaning up after each other. We knew that the world was changing around us and we were part of that change. Let's not forget that. Let's not get jaded. Oh, there's some things that didn't change. Duterte isn't perfect. His people aren't perfect, but we have made enough. And we're still hanging together. Diba? Don't forget that. This is something that we have achieved. This is not, we broke the narrative. Diba? Don't you see that in almost every presidency that we start off with high hopes and then it's a downward slide to the point that we hate the president already and we can't wait to see them go. This is one of those rare times when we're also worried about letting go of this particular president, and we hung out together. Thank you. I am not going to forget that this has been a thrill, and let's take it into the next administration. I'd like to thank everybody for for hanging out today. Hi kay Bench McNabs dun din sa super chat. There'll be more lives probably this week kasi Ang daming nangyayari. So we'll probably be doing more in the next few days. We'll be posting the schedule again here. And thank you very, very much. Not a single person actually complained about the audio today. Makes me very happy. So don't forget, please come up with more LS slogans, more definitions of LS. We welcome them in the comment sections, both in YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's be nice to each other, but let's heckle the opposition as much as we can. After all, they do keep saying things that are worth heckling. Thank you very much. Good night. See you on Karambola tomorrow.